In the dead of night, during the coldest days of the Cold War, the fate of all humanity rested on the shoulders of one man. His name was Stanislav Petrov. He wasn't a president, a general, or a famous leader. He was a lieutenant colonel in the Soviet Air Defense Forces, a man trained to follow orders without question. But on September 26, 1983, he would be forced to make a choice that would either save the world or condemn it to nuclear annihilation. The year 1983 was a powder keg. Just weeks earlier, the Soviets had shot down a Korean passenger jet, an event the Americans called murder. Tensions were sky-high. Both superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, had thousands of nuclear missiles aimed at each other, ready to launch at a moment's notice. It was a world living on a knife's edge, where a single mistake could trigger the end of civilization. Petrov was on duty at Serpukhov 15, a top-secret command center just outside Moscow. His job was to monitor early warning satellites for any sign of an American nuclear strike. The room was a fortress of technology, filled with the low hum of computers and glowing screens, all designed for one purpose: to detect the unthinkable. Just after midnight, the unthinkable happened. A piercing siren shattered the quiet hum. Red lights flashed across the control panels. On the main screen, a single, terrifying word appeared in bold letters: launch. The system was reporting that the United States had just fired a nuclear missile. Petrov's heart hammered in his chest. His team stared, frozen in shock. The protocol was brutally simple: confirm the launch and immediately report it up the chain of command. From there, the Soviet leadership would have mere minutes to order a full-scale retaliatory strike. The end of the world would begin right here, in this room. Then, another alert. And another. A second missile was detected, a third. A fourth, a fifth. The screen now showed 5 American nuclear missiles hurtling toward the Soviet Union. Panic began to set in. His officers looked to him, their faces pale, waiting for the command to confirm the attack. The phone line to his superiors was open, waiting for his word. Every fiber of his training, every line of the military code he lived by, screamed at him to report the attack. But he hesitated. Something felt profoundly wrong. 5 missiles. It made no sense. He had spent years studying American military doctrine. A first strike wouldn't be a handful of missiles. It would be an all-out assault, a storm of hundreds, maybe thousands of warheads designed to overwhelm Soviet defenses completely. This attack was too small, too illogical. He stared at the data, his mind racing. The computer, the most advanced system of its time, insisted the attack was real. It was designed to be infallible. To doubt it was to doubt the very foundation of their defense system. If he was wrong, if these missiles were real, his hesitation would mean the annihilation of his country. Millions would die because he waited. But what if the machine was wrong? What if it was a false alarm? If he reported a phantom attack, he would trigger a real nuclear war. The Soviet response would be massive and unstoppable. He would be responsible for the deaths of billions, for plunging the entire planet into a radioactive winter. The weight of the world was on his shoulders. There was no one to ask, no time to double-check. He had only his logic and his gut. In that moment of crushing pressure, with sirens wailing and lights flashing, Stanislav Petrov made a decision. He picked up the phone to his superiors and reported the unthinkable. He told them the system was malfunctioning. He declared it a false alarm. He went against the machine, against protocol, against everything he had been trained to do. He was staking the life of every person on Earth on a hunch. Then came the longest minutes of his life. He waited. 1 minute passed. Then 5, then 10. His team watched the screens, their breath held tight. If he was wrong, nuclear fire would be raining down on them at any moment. 15 minutes. 20. Nothing. The sky remained dark and silent. There were no explosions. No streaks of light. No missiles. The world was still there. He had been right. It was later discovered that the satellites had been fooled by a rare atmospheric phenomenon, sunlight reflecting off high-altitude clouds, which the system had mistaken for the heat signature of missile engines. The world had come within a hair's breadth of total destruction because of a trick of the light. But Petrov wasn't hailed as a hero. In the rigid world of the Soviet military, disobeying orders, even for the right reason, was a serious offense. He was intensely interrogated and reprimanded for not following procedure. His career was effectively over. He was reassigned to a less sensitive post and eventually retired quietly, the story of that night buried in classified files. He carried the secret for years, never seeking recognition. It wasn't until after the Cold War ended that his story finally came to light. Journalists and historians, stunned by the revelation, began calling him the man who saved the world. He received international peace awards, but he remained a humble, quiet man, uncomfortable with the title of hero. "I was just doing my job," he would say. "I was the right person at the right place at the right time." Stanislav Petrov passed away in 2017 in a small apartment outside Moscow, his death largely unnoticed by the world he had saved. His story is a powerful reminder that in an age of technology and automation, the most important safeguard we have is human judgment. It's a lesson that true courage isn't always found on the battlefield, but sometimes in a quiet room, in the decision to think for ourselves when everything is telling us not to. Because of one man's calm refusal to panic, we all got to see another sunrise. Thanks for watching. If this story moved you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible stories you may have never heard. See you next time.